Why do you think many young men today lack the needed inspiration to move their life forward? And the way destiny works is that what can affect your 10 years can happen in a second. You just missed the moment. You sat with somebody, the right words to speak didn't come. It's after the person left, you now remember what you should have said. What that person walking away, that's your 10 years going. Because what that person should have done, if you said the right thing, would have affected the next 10 years. But you see, you have spent of your mental power when you were giving yourself to iniquity. It says, flee youthful lust. It wages war against your soul. Proverbs 4:23 says, guard your heart with all diligence. Out of it are the issues of life. Too many of us are missing our moments. We are missing our seasons. True. Why? Because the inspiration didn't come at the right time. Sex, immorality, lying, hypocrisy, exaggeration, all of these things have made it has thwarted the circuit of flow of inspiration. And so every time you are knowing what you should say at the wrong time, every time you are approaching the moment of your visitation at the wrong time, and so all of these spiritual cycles are taking place, but you are the one missing out. And so you will discover that somebody who carried your 5 years just left. You didn't meet him. Somebody who carried your 10 years had a conversation with you. You spoke for 1 hour. You didn't know what to say. Or you were saying only the wrong things. And when you were done talking and he left, he never remembers that he met you. And he just left with your future. Because you have allowed iniquity to stain your soul. Every time you stain yourself with iniquity, I tell you, you have wasted your future. Why do you think? See, the devil is smart. He knows these things. Hope you know that he was a cherub. He operated in the courts of God. He knows how God works. And so when you look at the world today, almost 80% of every activity in the world today is designed to suggest sin and iniquity. The other day I carried my phone tab. I was writing on my notepad. For God's sake, notepad has nothing to do with internet. But because my data was on, suddenly I clicked notepad to write, and a young lady appeared on the screen opening her leg. I said, it was so embarrassing. What if somebody was passing? He would now say, look at Apostle. I was shocked and embarrassed at the same time. So they are forcing iniquity down your throat, because the devil knows that the eye is a gate, the ear is a gate. The moment you see it, the brain will go to work. And then some people sit there, they are processing pornography, processing immorality for 24 hours in every 48 hours. You think that kind of person can host a project that will affect worry? Do you know the mental energy that goes into a project that has a statewide scale? Do you know the mental power that goes into processing a project that has a national scale? I tell you, you will not have that ability. If I give you my schedule for the past 2 weeks, you'll be shocked. The reason I am fresh is because I have not allowed iniquity into my chamber. Because if it enters, it will kill me. I returned on the 1st. I flew to the United Kingdom for a conference. Landed on the 2nd, sort things out. From the 3rd, we had a meeting with volunteers. 4th and 5th, we had the meeting. The next day, I had to fly to Edinburgh in Scotland. I ministered that night. The next day, I flew back to London. Ministered. The next day I flew to Aberdeen. I flew to Glasgow. Ministered for 2 nights and flew to Aberdeen. Ministered the next day. As I finished that Sunday morning, I told my wife, gather your bags. We scheduled my flight. I'm going to Nigeria. And that night, I came back to London, flew to Abuja. On Tuesday, I arrived Monday. Tuesday was Bible study. I thought on Wednesday, I had to go to Benue to defend my PhD. And that night, I sat on 248 pages of document and I was reading. Because I've switched from one word to another. I left the spirit world into chemistry. Nobody will ask you John 3:16 there. When I go there, I'm talking nanochemistry. And so my brain had to switch. And immediately, I was able in 24 hours to internalize 248 page textbook. Because that was my PhD thesis. And I was demanded to present it in 20 minutes. And everybody see, because the professors are willing to disqualify you there. You have to prove to them that you did the research. And you also have to prove to them that you are adding value to humanity. Because PhD is not undergraduate. You must add something to knowledge. And in 20 minutes, I was done talking. It didn't finish. They now say, sit down. And you are facing 7 professors. And they're asking you questions from everywhere in chemistry. And they expect you to answer. How can your brain function like that if you are thinking pornography? if you are thinking masturbation? How can you function? When I finish, they say, go, you can call yourself a doctor. You don't gain height until purity comes into your chamber, because it has something to do with your capacity. And as I finished from there, I came back to Abuja on Thursday night, because I finished around 3 p.m. I hit the road 5 hours, traveled to Abuja. On Friday, I had to fly to Akwa Ibom. I was in Akwa Ibom. I switched back to the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I preached there, preached the next morning, flew back to Abuja. On Saturday in the afternoon, I was in Foursquare Gospel Church, and I ministered there. Sunday I ministered. In the evening I returned to encounter Jesus and still ministered. And you keep that schedule round the clock. I've not told you about my family life. I've not told you about my business. I've not told you about my relationship with God. Do you think global things come cheap? It will take a lot of mental power. It will draw life out of you. That's why you cannot afford to waste life on iniquity. That's why you cannot afford. He said, I looked through the window, I saw a young man void of understanding. He said he was walking the path of death because he went the way of the harlot. The moment you journey the way of iniquity, the Bible calls it the path of death, because there your strength is wasted, there your life is wasted, there your energy is wasted. And so when the matters of destiny confront you, you are weak, you are helpless, you are vulnerable, and you don't know why you never ascend. Iniquity comes to eat you up. It comes to eat you up. And that's why Peter said to flee from these things. You think you are having fun? You are eating your life. Every young man who wants to be impactful must know how to keep his or her vessel, because there will be many demands on your strength. There will be many demands on your mental power. There will be many demands on your life, and at all times you must be fresh. It's not enough to be present. You have to be fresh. You have to be your best. And for you to remain like that, purity, you cannot compromise on it. I'm telling you why many never ascend. When they come to matters of their destiny, they are so weak, they are so tired, and you are wondering, you are just 24 years old, why are you so tired? Meanwhile, our fathers who are in their 80s are still very agile, going about their business as if they are in their 20s. And then you see people who are in their 20s so weak, because they have sapped out the energy of their destiny through iniquity. They've sapped out the energy of their destiny through impurity. And so the only thing they are good for is to sit down and gossip and talk what does not matter, and argue football, and talk about a gear, and talk about nonsense that cannot impact their destiny. You are seeing a man who should affect a nation. He sits down from morning till night watching a seasonal movie, because there's no energy. He cannot see. Matters of destiny come with demand. It takes a lot of demand to think. It takes a lot of energy to process. He doesn't have it, so all he can do is to sit down and waste away. And the root of it is impurity. The root of it is iniquity. If you want to ascend the hills of the Lord, he said your hands must be pure. Your heart must be pure. That means you must not be involved in anything that has to do with sin and iniquity. Peter said, run away from filthy lust. Run. If somebody brings something that has the stain of iniquity on it, run. Paul said, flee every appearance of evil. Flee. Don't wait. That's why Joseph succeeded. When Potiphar's wife said, come and sleep with me, he said, no, I cannot do this evil. The woman grabbed him. The guy took off. If you stand there, you will fall. And most of you stood, you thought you were strong, and later you came back weeping, because you don't know the formula. The formula is to flee. When somebody comes with lying and gossip, flee. When somebody comes with immorality, flee. God is telling you that he wants to promote you, and suddenly a boy that you didn't talk to for 4 years now wakes up and says, Jennifer, are you still alive? See the way you have abandoned me. And then you say, no be so. No be who? Where are you coming from? I'm about to enter a new season. Why do they come at those junctions? You think the devil does not know? You that was cold, you attended many meetings. The only revival meeting you went to and caught fire, you are coming home, and then somebody called you and say, sorry, is that Matthew? You say, yes, because you heard the voice that sounded, is that Matthew? You are about to sink into the grave. Matthew, why did you throw me away like this? Did I do anything? If I did anything, I'm sorry. Off your phone, delete the number and block it. It's a pit. You are about to be swallowed into a pit. Have sir, have sense. Destiny is at stake. You think demons are not watching? Listen, Jesus was 8 days old. They already saw his star, and they knew he would be a king. Every season of your ascension, the devil knows, and he will look for something that is a weakness. He will look for something that is a pattern in your bloodline. He knew what your great grandfather fell to. He knew what your grandfather fell to. He knows what your father fell to. He will bring it to you. 90% of the chance you too will fall. Because if Abraham loved fair women, Isaac will love fair women, Jacob will love fair women. If Abraham lies to a king, Isaac will lie to a king, Jacob will lie. The devil knows. He has the whole curriculum vitae of your family, and he will take from it every strategic season. And so what wise men do is that they run from iniquity. They don't stand to fight it. They don't stand to explain. They don't show that they are strong. They run. It's when you have run away, you now look back. If you still see any sign, add some mileage. It's needed for ascension. Flee from every appearance of evil. Your future depends on it. You will sit down, you will see somebody you taught is now taking over the world. Your student that you taught and you were encouraging, now you are in the same place he's teaching you. You see people that you want to Christ, they are taking over their world, and you are still there. You say, God, why? It's not God, why? It's Michael, why? It's James, why? It's Queen, why? Because you are the reason you are where you are. If you want to ascend, rid yourself of iniquity, because you cannot appear in that realm with stains. He said, thou, O Lord, out of a purer eyes. He said, your eyes cannot behold iniquity. Number 2, how do you ascend? By humility. He said in that same scripture, Psalm 24 verse 4, he said that person must not have lifted up his soul in vanity. You know, when a man or a woman has greatness, there is a way he thinks. And so when the devil knows that there is greatness in you, he will now start putting pressure on it. And what that pressure comes to do is to force you to start living a lie. And so instead of allowing yourself to grow through process from your little into your great, the devil will force you to start acting as if you have arrived. And so because of that, where you need to bend your head to learn, you will not. And in our world today, they've given it a branded name. They call it packaging. So you see people living fake lives, putting pressure on themselves. A man who is earning 40,000 wants to live in a house of 700,000. So he needs 2 years salary to pay 1 year rent, so that people will think he's something. A young man comes to a place where he should learn. He sees elders. He wants to show so that they will say him too is there, because he wants to snap a picture and put somewhere and appear in a way, and he's squaring shoulders where he should bend down. And when the devil sees that those tendencies are in you, he will now create a pattern of pressure on your life, and so your life will become fake. You will elude process. When you should say you are acting like the CEO, so that people will not mistake you or people will not undermine you, it's a lie. Listen, packaging does not give you honor. It is God that puts honor on a man. He said, lay your hands upon Joshua, I will take of the honor that is upon you and put upon him. If you need to sell pure water, sell it gracefully. You are in your process. If you are selling okrika, sell it with enthusiasm. You are in your process. There is an experience you need to pick from there, so that when you own a bank, you will not be deceived. Don't allow the devil bring pride to kill you, because you know the problem with pride. If the devil succeeds in putting pride in you, he will not be the one fighting you. He will leave you. God will be the one fighting you. So if the devil can't fight you, he will set you up so that you become an enemy of God. And the Bible said in 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 6 and 7, it said God himself, this is what he said, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God. In due season he will exhort you. He said, but if you try to exhort yourself, God will be the one to elbow you. God will be the one to push you down. So the man is fasting and praying, but he cannot ascend. He goes to the mountain for 40 days. He wants that business to explode. He wants that ministry to explode. But God wants to save his soul. If that business explodes, that's why he will go to hell. If that business explodes, that's why he will go to hell. Because his pride is too much. So after praying and fasting, God will channel that energy to somebody else. So the moment he ascends, God will show him a picture of somebody, intercede for that person. You are not yet ready. And so every time you're on 30 days fast, you see a vision about 2-3 people, you pray for them, you come back. That's the only benefit, so that in eternity you have reward. But if you think that fasting will take you anywhere, it's a lie. God will humble you. He will keep you down Because if you ascend with the garbage of pride, you will suffer what Lucifer suffered. Because when he saw himself that he was glorious, he said, now I will exalt my throne. See, every time you try to exalt yourself, you are playing the script of Lucifer. It's a Luciferian script. It is God that exalts us in this kingdom. You don't exalt yourself. God is the one that lifts you up. And so he said the way God recommends you for lifting is when you humble yourself under his mighty hand and show you the organic reality of ascension. I can begin with prayer. I can begin with prophecy. I can begin with impartation. But hear me, no matter how much you pray, if there is sin in your life, you will not ascend. No matter how much prophecy is on your head, if there is sin in your life, you will not ascend. If there is pride in your life, you will not ascend. Did you not read the story of Jacob? After he was blessed, the Abrahamic blessing, he was the only person on earth carrying the Abrahamic blessing. The only person. Still, God could not lift him. The angel had to wrestle him all night. This guy was already having encounters. He had the covenant on his life. He had the blessing on his life. But the angel fought him all night. When the angel saw that he cannot take away flesh, he had to break his thigh. So the guy had to lean on a staff to be a prince. Because when he was walking on his two legs, he was too proud. He was too self-centered. He was too selfish. So let's cripple him, so that as he leans on that staff, he will not depend on himself anymore. He is too full of himself. And they broke his staff, his thigh, in order to bless him. If you are full of yourself, there is no way you can ascend.
Wow, thanks for watching this video. Please like, drop your comments, and share this video. And also don't forget to follow this page for more videos like this. See you in my next video, guys. I love you.